Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. This evening, we're going to address voting rights under attack, Jim Crow laws return. First, though, let me let you know that you can watch us on WBQT TV, WBQ TV, WBQ PTV, channel 12.1, YouTube, Fire Stick, WBQPTV.com, and Facebook, Vernon Watson Facebook page, along with our Facebook page, of course, if you watch it on there. But you can also go to www.themacintoshprinciple.com. That's www.themacintoshprinciple.com and click on Facebook. On that note, we'll go to our host, Mr. Bill Snow, who is one of our hosts and the author of the book From the Project to the Boardroom. We also our host, Mr. Rodney Jones, who is the CEO of New World Believers and also the president of Move for Change and Q. I had to throw that in right there. Dr. Isaac Williams, who is also the great pastor of Greater True Vine Baptist Church, also the moderator for this area in the state of Florida.
Moderator for the COVID, the vaccines?
No, and also head of the task force in this area for COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Carol McIntosh, who's a former principal, educator, administrator, and now president of the Progressive Black Women. So, Carol, we're going to get started.
Oh, good evening. I see that some of our Facebook Live supporters are always online. Helen Stokes, you're online. Lois Blessed Pruitt. You know Lois Blessed Pruitt at 7 o'clock. She wants to see Our Voices of the People's Media. And Patricia Tony Dunmore from Chicago is on. Hello from Ann Williams and Alan Young. Thank you all for being on the show early and waiting for us to come on. We are going to start off the show with what we normally do, and let's talk about COVID-19 and the vaccine. And we have our specialist and our person that's really involved in it as one of our hosts. So we're glad to have him tell you all a little bit more about what's going on and give us an update. Dr. Williams? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. McIntosh and Jerry, and to our distinguished panelists, Mr. Snow and
Rodney.
Just good to be with you all again this evening. Update from our task force as it relates to COVID is we're still in a troubling situation with the vaccination. The problem that we're having with the vaccination now is that starting April the 5th, the governor of Florida is opening up the vaccination, the vaccine to anyone that's 18 and older. This week he's dropping it down to 40, and then next week he's dropping it down to 18. They have given out about 8,500,000 vaccine. They're vaccinated about 5 million. These kind of estimate, I could give the exact numbers a little later. About 5.5 million people in the state of Florida have been vaccinated. And out of that 5.5 million, I looked at the numbers last evening. I think we're at 37,000 Black in the whole state of Florida. That's 6% of the vaccination that has been given out. So 94% of our people remain unvaccinated.
Wow.
94%. And the challenge with this is that they're removing all restrictions, the precautions to safeguard, to protect ourselves from this COVID that's being laxed. I was city of Jacksonville just this weekend to attend a funeral, and the mayor of Jacksonville lifted the mandate Friday night that the city is no longer on a mandate, and they open all the restaurant, they open everything up to full capacity, and people are just dropping in masses though the virus is gone. And so we're gonna need everybody's help.
You know, I was gonna say, one of the things that I see is I believe that they are, it's still too soon to be opening because these other variants out there, and they're saying the uptick is around 10% already, and hospitalization is going up again, and they are looking for a fourth wave because of these governors wouldn't wait until another 3 months to keep the mandate for mask in place, making sure most of the people in each state get the vaccination to have herd immunity. So the sad part about it, many young people, because there's other variants, they're saying is more detrimental to young people as it is to the elderly. So it's really sad that all these people's lives are being put in danger. And what's worse than that is the long-term effect, what they call the long haul.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the long haul.
It's something we have to deal with.
Yeah. In fact, we can go to the long haulers right now. In the long haulers, doing research, I found out that it says that approximately 80% of those with COVID-19 end up having a mild reaction, and in most cases resolve in about 2 weeks. And then it says for people who have a severe response to the virus, it can take between 3 and 6 weeks to recover. I'm sure everyone has known someone that has had to recover from COVID. And it varies. But then it says there's a growing concern over a separate group of people who don't seem to fall in either of those two categories. About 10% of people who've had COVID-19 will experience prolonged symptoms 1, 2, or even 3 months after they were infected. And sometimes I think it's even longer than that.
Yeah, I've seen some research on Ms. Mack that says, especially if you look at the National Institute of Health from Harvard University, they found that many people have had it longer lingering symptoms. And they've given it a name, the severe acute respiratory syndrome.
Right.
And that's what they've given it. And many people now, you think about what is your symptom. I think a lot of people don't know some of the lingering symptoms. And I think that's why it's being reported or not being reported of how many people and how long it's lasting, because so many people are not really sure about what are some of those signs or symptoms that's associated with this lingering or long haul process.
Can I add a few of those long hauler symptoms?
Yes.
One of them is they got a term called brain fog.
Yep.
Right.
A lot of folk that having that problem, they just can't remember. They'll get in their car, they go into McDonald's to pick up a meal, and once they get in their car, they're like, what am I in the car for? And then they just have to turn around and go back home. Another one, long-term symptoms are heart conditions, lung conditions, and 45% of our people of the ones who are considered long haulers are people of color. And so even long hauler is adversely affecting people of color.
And if I could add to that, they're some of the more prevalent symptoms, like when you talk about heart disease and lung disease and kidney disease, it's kind of difficult to tell or to divide one from the other, because it could be something that's associated with underlying health conditions. However, they have these surface level symptoms, some like fatigue, shortness of breath, pain in joints, headaches, things that people can quickly recognize. Like what Doc was talking about, you probably have to go to the doctor to find out those. But some people have to realize that they're having many of these symptoms and don't know they're having them, such as these headaches that they get come out of nowhere, shortness of breath sometimes. I know a kid that was playing basketball, used to go run full court, can't run full court anymore. When I say a kid, I'm talking about 17 years old, and he can't run the full court anymore. I'm presuming, because he used to do it prior to getting COVID-19. And now he's at a place where he's short of breath. Joints ache sometimes. And one of the, I would say, most severe surface level symptom is depression. They say you can get depression from it.
But Rodney and Dr. Williams, some of those symptoms you called out, like forgetting. I mean, sometimes you can go to one room to the next and forget what. Have you done that and had to turn back around and go back? I don't have COVID, but I know I have that symptom.
That's a good point. Now, I'm talking about people didn't like me. I'll be going to do something, and I'll like, what am I going to do? I'll turn around and go back to where I.
That ain't associated with ages.
That's age. That's age.
But you're a long hauler because of that.
But if you didn't have that problem prior to COVID, that's what Rodney was saying.
Yes, sir.
You could run the court before, but now you can't run the court. You can prior, but now you can't do it. Then that's probably can be attributed to one of the long-term long haulers effect of COVID, Ms. McIntosh.
So do you all know that there's a FEMA COVID-19 funeral expense aid that people get? Does anybody want to talk about that, Pastor? You want to talk about that, or?
Go ahead.
Well, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Doc, you gonna talk about it?
No, you're welcome, but Rodney.
Okay. Well, in regards to that, first and foremost, it has to be proven that the symptom, you died from a cause of having COVID-19 or some effects of it. So there's a form you fill out, and then you have to get proof from a physician via your death certificate, has to show that COVID-19 is related to that death.
Right.
But sometimes that could be kind of difficult, especially for people who had underlying conditions. We do understand that the COVID may be part, but it's not in whole or entirety the cause of your death. And they could put on your death certificate heart disease, kidney disease, cancer. And see, that's the issue that many people may run into.
And another requirement is you must be a citizen of the United States.
Absolutely.
And it says funeral expenses documents such as receipts and funeral home contracts. These documents should include the applicant's name, the deceased individual's name, the amount of funeral expenses, and the dates in which the cost occurred. It was one thing I saw that says, now if you have insurance and you pay for the funeral with your insurance, that doesn't count for
hardship.
It doesn't count for expenses. So they still can apply for that.
On that, if they for the FEMA doesn't consider life insurance proceed to be considered funeral aid assistance. If you got like funeral insurance, I think that's what you are addressing. If you have funeral insurance, they won't pay it, but you can have a life insurance policy and they still will pay for that. So that is a distinction. And if someone raised money for you to pay for their funeral, they won't reimburse you If someone made donations to you, they won't reimburse you for that. So I think that, so if you got life insurance, you can still get reimbursed.
Absolutely.
But if you got funeral insurance, they won't reimburse you.
Right. And this begins in April. So we're not far from April. This is something that everyone should be aware of if they had a death in their family due to COVID. And if I'm not mistaken, it's up to $8,000,
7,000.
7,000. Okay. All right then.
Well, it says here the Federal Emergency Management Agency said it will provide up to $9,000 per funeral with people who lost multiple family members to COVID-19, eligible to apply for up to $35,000. So
Right, 7,000 per funeral.
person, per funeral. Okay.
Per person, yes.
And here's some questions that people might have asked. There was one question one lady asked. She said, I paid funeral expenses for more than one person whose death was attributed to COVID-19. Can I apply for additional assistance? And the answer is yes. Someone else helped me pay for funeral expenses. Are they eligible too? And they said yes, but it's a bit complicated. Something like Dr. Williams said, it's a little more complicated if someone helps you with the funeral.
Ms. McIntosh, can we park that for just a second? When they say someone else helped them, what are they actually saying? Did someone give them the money for them?
Say if it's $5,000 and someone gave you $1,000 on the funeral, you only had 4,000, someone contributed 1,000.
Now, you're going to have a receipt for what you paid. And so if that person just gave you that money, you're going to have to get all the money and give that person their money back. They're not going to allow for that person to apply to get 7,000 or whatever. If only one person going to be able to get the receipt from the funeral home. That's what they're going to need. They're going to need that, when you go to the funeral home, that contract, and also they need that receipt, and they want to see who paid for it. Because if bro Jerry paid for it, they're not going to get, I can't apply to get his money. Even though I may have gave him 4,000 on it under the table, so to speak. I gave him a donation. He went down there and paid for it. Then he is the one that's going to get the 7,000.
Well, what about an instance where the money was loaned to an individual and they have a loan receipt saying, I loaned such and such this amount of money? Will they cover that? No,
they're going to pay for that funeral. Whoever paid for their funeral expense, they'll give you the money. Then
and you'll have to give it back.
Pay the loan.
Okay.
Right.
One other thing, the funeral assistance program covers the following things: transportation for up to 2 people to identify the deceased individual, transfer of the remains, casket or urn, burial plot or cremation, markers or headstones, clergy or officiate services and arrangements of the funeral ceremony, use of funeral home equipment or staff, and cremation or interment costs. So those are the things that it will cover. Everybody should know, please distribute that information to your friends, family, and co-workers if you can. One thing, I don't know if y'all listened to the Rachel Maddow show, but she was talking about the other day about that we're missing the point on just vaccines, that there is something else called the monoclonal antibody treatment that you need to ask for at your doctor's office if you have COVID. She said it's about 85 to 90% effective, but people don't know about it and don't know about asking their doctors about this treatment. Do you know anything else about that, Dr. Williams?
I do. With this monoclonal antibody, it's been out there for the last several months. And what's sad about this, they won't offer it primarily to people of color.
Mm.
Doctors will not offer it to you. This is the same treatment they gave to DJT, whatever those initials stand for. He didn't ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
They went in and they hit him with it
Yeah.
because he was in pretty critical condition
Mm-hmm.
and he came out. If you are critical, how can you ask for that when you are critical? If
Right.
you don't have a loved one advocating for you. So when you were in there and with COVID, they normally won't let nobody be in there with you.
Her thing was maybe was saying from what I got from was that if you have COVID and you know that you're positive, go to your personal doctor and ask if you can get this treatment, because she was also saying that you can even have the treatment at home. It was an easy thing to do. It's not difficult, and she said you can have it at home, but
Yeah.
I think she may be misleading the public
Yeah.
there, because this treatment is for
Cancer patients.
it has to be inpatient, it has to be done in the hospital, it has to go through infusion.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And it's normal for people who are having that they are subject to severe symptoms. That makes sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so if you may not be like that's a good point what you said, Dr. McIntyre, that initially you may not be really ill and you can go ahead and ask for it, but it has to be done in the hospital. It has to be an infusion. But it is really powerful. And most of the hospital, they have that treatment, but they just won't do it unless you are, and then they'll do it. Otherwise, you have to request for it. And that should not be the case. That should be standard procedure.
It could be that it could be expensive because monoclonal antibodies are used to mimic the immune system, and it's designed to help build a collapsed immune system up. And I think it is designed for more inpatient type because it can be used to treat many different types of cancers. When you look at what it really is, and you'll think for the everyday average person trying to get it, it might be a hurdle. You know, it might not just be something you can go right into your doctor and actually get.
Well, she indicated that it was free, Rodney. This was about 2 days ago. So I think this is something that we really need to look into.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it's something that we as a group should look into, because
Absolutely.
we're being affected on a higher rate than anyone else. And if it's something that can save our people, then we really need to look into it and see how we can make sure that our critical patients get it.
We want
absolutely.
We want you to like and share the show. Be sure to like and share the show, and invite all your friends that, if you're watching, invite them to watch the show. We are being shown on WBQP TV. Go to WBQPTV.com or Fire Stick or YouTube and watch on Vernon Watson YouTube channel. All right. Again, like and share the show.
One person said, Terry Fuller said, so my understanding is that you can get it, but it's through outpatient, that you're not in the hospital when you get it. No, that's not what we're saying. Rachel said that, you know how sometimes, you know, like they were sending COVID patients home and they were getting services at home instead of in the hospital. They were saying that you can also give this, the hospital can come out, the nurses can come out and give this to you at home. But like Dr. Williams and Rodney Jones was saying, that most of the times, 9 out of 10, it's given to individuals in the hospital.
Okay, I just pulled it up. Who's eligible to receive the monoclonal antibiotic therapy? The FDA granted emergency use for this treatment infusion in adults who are high risk for developing severe COVID and who have not been admitted to the hospital. Those, and so Ms. McIntosh, you are right there. They hadn't been admitted yet.
Mhm.
It's going to be through an outpatient, but I will get to that in just a second. It said those who are at high risk include people who are 65 years of age or older, or at least 65 years of age, and who have heart disease, hypertension, chronic respiratory disease, or COPD. You must have a BMI, but that means you're overweight, body something above 35 pounds. You have chronic kidney disease, you have diabetes, or receiving immune suppression treatment, or have immune suppressed disease. So those are people who are at high risk, and you are right on that. I was under the impression you had to go to the hospital, but you don't.
Right.
You can go to your doctor and ask for it if you fall into that category, but you gotta have COVID though.
Yeah, I think it's a sad day in America that you could be high risk and almost to check up out of here. And if you're not astute enough to ask for a certain treatment that can save your life, that's a pretty sad day, I tell you. There's just nothing that more can be said as far as that is concerned.
But that's why you have our Voices of People's Media. If you listen to the show, you will find out some things, and people have found out today two great things about funeral expenses and about this new treatment that you need to ask for if someone gets COVID, and it says it's 85 to 90% effective. There are people on their deathbed and they got it like the pastor said. Donald Trump was one of them.
The former fake president Donald Trump got it.
We gotta move on with that statement. Hey, you all, what do y'all think about the Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy's 10-year plan? He has a 10-year plan for the post office.
Yeah, it's pretty stout. I mean, cutbacks as far as the hours go, raising the rates for packages, going back from it almost sounds like we're going back to the stagecoach the way it sounds. But the local mail looks like it'll still be delivered within 1 or 2 days, but cross country, it's a lot packed into that deal. New vehicles, infrastructure, all of it is in that deal. So I don't know. They've got to do something though, because the way I'm hearing it is that they're losing money at such a substantial rate, and then they've got so many people that they're in competition with. It once was just the USPS, and now you've got a slew of outfitters that are getting it done, and Amazon doing their own thing. So I tell you, they got to do something. But those people that are getting these retirements, I think those are the ones that may have to think things through.
Yeah.
What? See, what they have done is made it as if the post office is, and this has been done since the Reagan administration, because the postal worker make a decent living, livable wage. Many of the people working at Amazon are making less than minimum wage. Many of the people working at all these other delivery services besides UPS, I think they make pretty good money, but in FedEx. But the rest of those delivery services make little or nothing at all, and they working on the shift from time to time, from sun to sun, and not making any money, and they not having good bathroom breaks. They got to walk a mile to the bathroom, and if they are late getting back, if you go to the bathroom for a certain amount of time, you subject to be called into the office. I've been reading a lot of stuff on Amazon. That's why you have Dr. Barber and all of them down there protesting to unionize Amazon. Here's a company that makes almost $1 trillion and made something like $30 billion this year alone, and don't want to pay their people a decent salary. And so the people are organizing, they are trying to unionize so they can negotiate a decent salary. But it's not the post office itself, it's the people that they have put at the Postmasters General that has messed up the post office for so long. The post office kept things, because it's a part of the Constitution, it kept the mailing low. It kept delivery low, but it paid the people a decent wage because it goes where other companies won't go. So they have to go there. But the thing about it, this is you got people that's invested, like DeJoy got $40 million invested in delivery services outside of the post office. He shouldn't have never been at the post office, because it should have been classified a conflict of interest, because you're working, you got investment in other company, but you come to the post office, then you slow down the mail. The mail, cross country mail, you slow that down, then you take out the machines that sort the mail, and which slows it down even more. And now you're talking about raising the rate. So we have to look at them closely at what they are doing, because the majority of the people that work there and making decent money are Black people.
Yeah.
Add to that, Bro Jerry, this whole postal service crisis was manufactured.
Right.
In 2006, Congress passed a law that put ordinary burdens, costs on the postal system, and required, it was in the, I think, $72 billion fund, required them now to go and make an additional $72 billion to fund the retirement and all this stuff, instead of funding them, because the Republican had control of it. That was under Bush. They put this burden on the post office, and they could never come out and up under, because they got to compete with UPS and FedEx and things like that. And now they're going to cut. But this is ironic, and I don't know have anyone thought about this. I learned a lot under DJT. I didn't know that the president could fire the FBI director. I thought that was an appointment that you stayed up till he fired him. But I did not know until just the other day, the president now can't fire the Postmaster General. Isn't that ironic? You can fire the FBI director, you can fire the Attorney General, but you cannot fire the post. Something is wrong there, because watch this. Trump appointed him. Right. If he appointed him, how come Biden can't depoint him, if that's a word?
Well, he'll have to put something on some people on the board. Is that correct?
He got 3 people that he's putting on that board to make sure that he goes. But that has to be okayed by the Senate. So those 3 individuals, that's going to take even more time, trying to get them confirmed to go on I forgot the name of the board that they are on. But you were right, Doc. One of the things they did, they told them they had to pay their pension up to so many years ahead. Who ever heard anything? There's no company on earth that do that pay a pension $72 billion in advance of something. That was meant to put them out of business and to slow down services and to cause layoffs and to cause shutdowns around the country. And they accomplished a lot of it, and still is.
And they did that because they believed that the postal workers were pro-Democrats.
Exactly.
Just as they believe that unions are pro-Democrat, but they don't know. They got 50-50 up in there, but they want to make sure they hurt that 50% that they think are against them, even at spite of hurting their people.
Exactly.
Well, the stamps are going to go up, that's for sure. So if you have you better go and get some of those forever stamps, because stamps will be going up. And they're shifting, hold on, Bill, and they're shifting transportation from, they say, unreliable air transportation to more reliable ground transportation. So are we saying that air transportation is not as good as ground transportation?
Well, no, they're saying that the more reputable air transportation companies, I guess the ones they've been dealing with, if it get too much snow, they don't roll, and they want
But if you,
office say rain, sleet, or snow, they roll them. But I guess the air transportation providers that they've been using in the past doesn't have that same mantra.
did y'all get that? I didn't get that from them. I got that
I didn't get
air
that.
transportation is much faster, I think, in my opinion, more reliable than ground transportation. What do you
That seems like what he was saying in his article when he talked to the press, that the ground transportation is definitely better than air transportation.
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all, and I didn't understand how, because one, it's a slower process.
Right.
So in that, you even if you have delays or issues, you still get there faster.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't kind of understand that theology.
My argument would be, how can UPS and FedEx fly?
Exactly.
Actually, the USPS, believe it or not, uses those two outfits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. How can FedEx and UPS get packages? Amazon get anything you want anywhere in the United States in 2 days.
Yeah.
A package.
Sometimes overnight.
A lot of time overnight.
Yes.
And if Amazon has figured this out,
Mhm.
why not get someone who understands Amazon and put them over the post office, fix the problem, and keep getting up instead of firing all these people? A brother said, at our association, this is, I don't think this is confidential information. He mailed a check to come to the association, to take care of his annual assessment 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He used to be one of the postmasters around here. Not postmaster, whatever, or the post office. He mailed it 2 weeks ago. And when we had our meeting Thursday night, they called out the organization who had paid their money. They didn't call his name. He said, well, I mailed it 2 weeks ago. They said, well, you ought to go check your mail, your post office. 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
Doc,
his letter hadn't arrived. It's colder.
Mm-hmm.
So
Where
they
was
tell
he
you what's
mailing
going
it
on.
from, Doc? Where was he mailing it from?
He lives out in Lincoln Park.
Come on now, and it was local.
2 weeks to get to our P.O. box, and we don't have it yet.
Oh wow, that one's coming. That one's marked return to sender. He might want to be checking his own mailbox.
We gotta move on real quickly. All right, there's always something. Evanston, Illinois is the first U.S. city to pay reparations to Black residents. Did y'all know that?
Oh yes, indeed. And it was pretty substantial. I think it's 25, 30,000 a pop.
25.
How much?
25,000.
Yeah.
But
And
when
so
you read the fine print, you have to read the fine print before we get too happy.
And how they gonna
that's a start though.
Yeah, but it's for just for Black families who are eligible or who qualify, and then it's gonna be like in stipends to help you either put a down payment on a home or to fix up the home that you're in. So it's not just money that is given to you that you can utilize in whatever means or fashion you see fit. They have stipulations and they have a parameter set.
Yeah, but I can't touch it for 25 years from now. As long as somebody, I can leave it as an inheritance, but it is a start, my friend. I promise you. Of course, it's gonna come with stipulations. Why wouldn't it be for people that,
We talking about reparations. It shouldn't come with stipulations because we talking about reparations.
Well, I mean, you can't give it to a white guy, so it's gotta have stipulations.
That's
yeah, but Rodney is right. It shouldn't.
It shouldn't come with any
reparation.
Yeah.
In the form of money, if it's monetary, then you should give me what you say you're going to give me monetarily.
And I can do what I want with it.
Stipulation.
But the other caveat to that
you're not giving me reparation. You're giving me something that I've earned, already. But you telling me how to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing to that is the fact that they pick and choose who they are going to give the money to, because the key words in there are eligible and qualified.
Yeah.
So they're going to choose whatever those parameters are that makes you qualify or makes you eligible, that's how they're going to pick and choose. And the thing is, for probably 95% of African Americans in this country are of African descent, and many of their generations were actual slaves. So now you're picking and choosing and skipping over particular people based on some qualifications that they haven't articulated yet.
Rodney,
Yeah, what they were saying is you had to have been a longtime resident of Evanston, Illinois, and the discrimination and all that you suffer from, your folks that live there suffer from systemic racism in that area. That's who they are focusing on.
And I would argue if I haven't read the details, but they're going to put a clause in there that if you're a felon, they're not going to give you the money.
Now that's something to think about, Doc. They may very well do something like that.
That's how they do it. You try to go to college. To me, it should be just the opposite. Them the ones you ought to want to go to college, so they'll move out of crime. They'll move. But if you're a felon, you put down you trying to get money to go to college. You've been a felon, they throw your paper in the trash.
It's tough. It's tough.
Same with housing and everything else. I mean, they are, if your parents live in the house and you got a felony and you trying to get back home, if you went to jail or prison, they might throw you out or not allow you to stay with your parents at that house. That's the kind of backwards draconian thinking that America has, in the systemic racism that it continues to put on people to stymie their growth and development in this country.
Yeah. Did they ever show what they considered a long-time resident, Mr. Mack, in their parameters?
I didn't
see that. I didn't see where they showed what they consider a long-time residence. And I just looked at what reparation is. It wasn't just for one city, it's for Black people. And so now it's been relegated to, okay, in that city, we're going to do it. And I understand that. But when you put the tag reparation on it, you can't put a stipulation whether if you were in that city or not. I mean, and I'm just speaking from one perspective. When you're talking about reparation, you're talking about something that's for a people, not for a place.
Yeah, well, the sister that I saw, she was talking about it because they pushed for it, and it was coming from the cannabis in that area. Yeah, and they fought to get reparation for the people that has suffered so much in that city. But I think that could be an example of what needs to take place nationwide.
I agree with that.
But you're right. It's too many stipulations in it, and Black people in general, if they live in that community, they no matter whether you just got there yesterday, you still.
That's right. That was my thought.
Everybody would move there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you.
I'm packing up now.
Well,
you don't need the qualifications, Bill.
I know it, man. I never do.
This is something that Jared wanted to talk about. The rest of Black children under the age of 10.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's
in North Carolina. They have arrested over 10,000 children under the age of 10.
10,000.
10,000 under the age of 10. They just arrested another young man, 6 years old. Think about this, 6 years old. He picked a tulip.
A tulip.
A tulip. He was on the bus stop and by somebody's yard. He saw the tulip. He pulled one of the tulips. The guy called the police on him, had this young man arrested. The young man had to go to court. This 6-year-old, he ain't no young man, this baby. He's a baby, 6 years old. They had to give him coloring books in the courtroom so that to keep his attention span. He's 6 years old.
Are you saying, Jared, that these are Blacks, or they just under 10?
Black children.
Yeah, the majority of them are Black.
Yeah, majority of them are Black.
Okay, well, that's something a whole lot larger at play there.
Yeah. And on top of that, this 6-year-old was handcuffed thrown into a car. The person that handcuffed him in the first place, the police officer that arrested him, should have been arrested themselves. Had to go to court, had to get a lawyer. What, you know, this, I could use some words to address.
I think, you know, the issue comes from the laws that we have in place. There are at least 30 some states that don't have a minimum age that they can arrest a child. They don't have a minimum, they don't have any restrictions on that, nor is there any restrictions on the age that they can transfer a juvenile to adult court systems. And I think that's where our issue lies. That's why they consistently arrest our kids for minor infractions. Just say, for instance, a civil citation. Civil citation is actually an arrest that takes place. It is a procedure that takes place. The child has to actually accept that. So you've been detained, you've been charged, and you're waiting for sentence, all at one setting. And that could be done in a school. And any violation, no matter what that age is, any violation of that particular agreement could warrant the child be placed in custody.
Well, what happened to parent notification? What happened to that, where a parent has to be notified?
Well, here's how they get around that, Ms. Mack. In the school system. In the school system, the school is in charge. However, they have a police officer there. The school does not need to call the parent to question the child. See, that's how they kind of doing our children. But the police can be right there. And if you say something to incriminate yourself, now you have interjected law. Therefore, here's the law enforcement officer. Now he plays a part.
For all these years of education.
Let me add this. In Orlando last year, I think it was around October, not last year, 19, they went in this elementary school and they arrested this little 6-year-old boy.
Yeah, sure did.
In Orlando, Florida. You got those, what the officers call resource
officers.
Those resource officers, they don't have to do it. When they take those little kids and they arrest them. In fact, the FBI put out a report, I think in 2019 or 2020, that nearly 27,000 children under the age of 10 has been arrested in the United States between 2013 and 2017. That is crazy.
But
Now, we are arguing here in Pensacola with the state attorney, with the sheriff, and with the chief of police. They are agreeing now because Pensacola has one of the highest rate in the state of Florida arresting underage children. Pensacola, Florida. They agreed now that they're going to, and they don't have to because they can give what is known as civil citations.
That's what Rodney was saying.
Yeah, they could give civil citation. They don't have no record. You kind of like, they'll tell you what you got to do. You do this, talk to your parents, say, listen, we're not going to arrest him. Let him go so that we don't scar him at this early age. They want to stop putting those handcuffs on those little kids. Now, granted, I'm not naive to crime. And if you, and I know when I was growing up, we had some 11 and 12 years old, some rough little cats. Y'all hear me? We as 11, 12 years old, they look like little men almost.
Yeah.
But this many, and a lot of them is over, as Bro McIntyre said, picking a tuna. Or if you threw a pencil at the teacher, they'll cuff you and take you to jail.
But that just recently started happening. Being educated, I know, and a principal, I know that if a child throws a pencil at a teacher, then the administration should be called to the office. They had
in-school suspension counsel.
What happened to that count? They had in-school suspension where you wrote up a suspension form. You have behavior techs that came to the room if it's a real behavior. What happened to that process rather than the child throws a pencil and then the child is automatically arrested by the police?
I think it changed, Ms. Mack. I think it changed. Yeah, I think it changed when they started putting police officers in schools.
Yeah.
And once that happened, now you interject law enforcement.
Mhm.
Law enforcement sees a fight as an affray. That's a battery, a simple battery. Not just, it's not a fight anymore when law enforcement is looking at it, because what they fail to realize, he's looking at everything from a law enforcement perspective,
Mhm.
statute violations,
Mhm.
all of that. Whereas it could be handled like you were just talking about within the school system. But once you brought that law enforcement officer in, you changed the dynamics, you changed the entire structure of things.
Also, big business influencing policy and ensuring that prison, the pipeline. It used to be a process where they start writing them up, sending them to the principal's office, shooting them up, with giving them the Ritalin pills and all of that to get them ready for that prison, school to prison pipeline. But big business has influenced it so now that they can't wait. Let's go ahead and start getting this record lined up and disenfranchising them at the age of 6 and 7. Y'all, it is a sad thing.
Now, it was another incident that happened in Arkansas. A 5-year-old kid was told to clean out a toilet with his bare hands with feces in it.
Mhm.
You hear what I'm saying? A 5-year-old was told to clean out a toilet with his bare hand with feces in it. So, and they asked this white lady, this white teacher, why did she do it?
You didn't know.
She didn't know. And then they suspend her with pay.
Mhm.
She should have been fired immediately on the and arrested, right?
And a civil lawsuit should be followed.
Oh, I'm sure it's gonna be a lawsuit. I'm sure of that. But the thing about it, to have made a child do something like that, you think so low of a black child that you would have them to over in a toilet, a 5-year-old child with feces in it, make it clean it out with his hand, bare hand, nothing on it.
That's inhumane.
Atrocious.
Right. So I know I've been retired for a couple of years, but Rodney, you're still working with young people. So what rights do parents have when this happens?
The juvenile court system, Ms. Mack, is so lopsided. It's like ridiculous how they operate. In fact, children make their decisions when they stand before the judge. The parent can't say, well, I don't want him to have that. I don't want that. The best option the parent has is they can get an attorney and to help fight some of these issues. When you're dealing with this type of system, the system is just not designed for young people. I mean, when you come in, they find themselves at a disadvantage. Even if you get a civil citation, you're at a disadvantage, especially if you are a child who lives in an environment that's some substance abuse. You're a transient, meaning you live from your auntie house to your uncle house and all of that. That means you may accumulate tardies, absences, and all of that, which is going to cause you to have what they consider a contempt of court. That's AKA a violation, which will cause you to be placed back into the system, go back before the judge. You could be then incarcerated, put in secure detention. So the best option for the parents is to fight most of this stuff as much as they possibly can. And I know when I say get an attorney, that's kind of like looking down a telescope at a far, far away place, but Mr. Mack says something so often, man. We need a defense fund. We need a legal defense fund. And God knows when it comes to the judicial system and juveniles, it's needed more so there than anywhere. And I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Yes. Jared Potter on our live Facebook stream says, we're going to have to train our children to shut down and do not answer any questions until we are present. We are going to have to practice this with them. Some may say easier said than done, but we're going to have to try.
Well, Dr. Snow, I've seen that, and I've been doing this for like 5 years now. I've been a civil citation provider, meaning we get the civil citations where kids get sent to different places. In that, you find that the staff person in a school setting, because most of my civil citations, unfortunately, come from school. 98% of them come out of the school system. And you have a dual dynamics taking place at that time. So when a teacher is asking you something, it's different from the law enforcement officer asking you something. Okay, I'm not going to talk to law enforcement, but this my teacher, or this the principal, or this the dean. And the dean asked me this question. However, law enforcement is right there to hear whatever you say. Now he can interject himself because it's law.
Good point. Good point.
Can I add this as well? The civil citation has been expanded to let's say Walmart. If you have a juvenile, even civil citation can be given to adults. Let's say Walmart. This juvenile goes in and he steals something at Walmart. The first thing they do, they got security there, and then they're going to call deputies or the police. The police and the deputy has the authority not to arrest him, but give him a civil citation and say, listen, we ain't gonna mess you up on this. Do not go and steal again. If we catch you stealing again, we're gonna make you pay. But as soon as someone steals from Walmart, who are stealing from us every day, making you work for nothing.
Right.
As soon as they go and steal something, you see 4 police out there, got the little boy jacked up and slamming to the ground and taking him to jail. Now, I don't condone stealing, but I do believe in another chance. I do believe in teaching moments. I believe that could be a moment where he could make a friend with that little dude. Say, listen, now go tell him all the police are not against you. Listen, you work with me. You can use it in a positive way to help build community trust, and don't just make once they become a criminal, it is hard for them to get back on the right track. As Brother Bill said, is now the school to prison pipeline, because they're gonna get kicked out of school because they got to go to jail for 2 weeks. They done got too far behind in school. When they come back, they embarrassed. They don't want to do anything. They on the way to prison. They just don't know it. And so I don't know, and I like what Brother Rodney doing. We are advocating for them, but we do need that defense fund to start. We really need to get people to vote. I hope we're going to talk about that a little bit, Dr. McIntosh.
Oh, yeah.
If we get people out and vote, we can get people in office, district attorney, county commissioner. We can get people in place who will look favorable on us. But as long, and how many of you all know this question? In the history of Pensacola, how many county commissioners that are Black have we had?
3. I thought it was 3.
3, yeah, it's 3.
In the history of Pensacola,
In the history.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
3 Black county commissioners. That is a sin and a shame.
And one is currently in the seat.
Rodney, can you tell me the percentage? Do you have the information, the percentage of Black children getting citations compared to white students?
Well, I can only give the percentage for mine. I think I'm the only community-based provider. DJJ does the same thing, so I don't know their statistics. DJJ Escambia County, they do civil citations too. I am the only outside provider, and mine is about 98% to 2%. 98% African-American, 2% any other ethnicity. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a crime all in itself.
That is.
That's a crime.
That is.
Mhm.
It is certainly sad.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on. I tell you, that's a whole show in itself to talk about the situation that's in the school system. Not only with the situation we're talking about now, but then you're talking about the education, the mental part of it. We need to have a show on segments, because the educational system, there's a lot of work to be done with it.
Mr.
But,
Mac, let me really quickly interject. Jerry Potter, to follow up with what Rodney said about talking to with the police officer there. She said, okay, we'll teach them to not talk to the teachers as well.
All right,
They know that there's a situation.
law enforcement, that's right.
Talk to the children as well. She says, or whoever.
That's right. That's what we have to do.
Well, now let's talk, because we want some time to talk about this. We want some time to talk about our main topic. That's voting rights is under attack.
So we were coming there, Ms. McIntosh, if I'd have just been quiet.
Hey, we know that you want to talk about this, because I mean everybody should want to talk about it, because it's something that's going to affect us for generations to generations, like Jerry always says. Jim Crow law returns.
Or did it leave?
What did you say, Snow?
Or did it leave?
It didn't leave. You are so right, Dr. Snow.
It never
Great
left.
question.
It's just coming back to the forefront now.
Say it,
Well,
sir.
Well,
Say
it's
it.
starting out now with Georgia's new voter suppression laws, which is called the SB 202 and bill. And have y'all looked at it, or have y'all studied it? What do y'all think when you heard about it on television a couple of days ago?
For the people who don't know much about it, we'll read some of it. So the bill will prohibit counties from taking grant funding, place restriction on weekend advance voting, and require additional identification for advance voting. The bill, known as SB 202, gives state level officials the authority to usurp the power of county elected election board, allowing the Republican dominated state government to potentially disqualify voters in Democrat leaning areas. It's criminal. The provision of criminalize the provision of food and water to voters waiting in line in a state where lines are notorious long and heavy non-white precinct. It requires ID for absentee ballots and limit in the placement of ballot drop box.
Okay, stop right there. That's
Yeah.
a lot right there.
Yeah.
That's a lot in that segment. Okay, so what did you hear from that, Rodney?
Jim Crow.
What stood out? What stood out?
Just to understanding that they're going to criminalize the aiding of individuals who are standing out in the sweltering heat for periods of time just by giving them water. And so understanding that, you understand the way they suppress voters from the late 19th to the early 20th century with Jim Crow laws, preventing people from doing particular things, assisting voters or being able to vote in that. You understanding how they are separating and segregating us. We understand that this is a direct attack on Black people.
When we talked about Jim Crow, before we get too deep in it, because I know the pastor's just waiting to jump in, Pastor Williams, but Jim Crow had three components to them, the Jim Crow laws. It dealt with segregation, it dealt with civil rights, and it dealt with voting.
Rights.
And so we need to really, we don't have a lot of time, but we really need to talk about all three areas at a time where we can really delve into it. Because tonight we're just going to talk about the voting rights component of it,
Okay.
to the fact that of Georgia with their voter suppression laws that just came out. Now, Pastor Williams, what do you have to say about this voting suppression laws that came out in Georgia?
I got a whole lot. It'll take me a whole session, so I'm gonna the first thing that it saddens me how in 2021 the white people still use the police to carry out their wickedness right there in Georgia. That state representative, Cannon, she identified herself as a state representative, and they treated her just like she was a dog. But they want us to respect police. But when the police go up there to the Capitol and beat them in the face and spray them with bear spray and hit them with Trump signs, not one of them pull a gun. This saddens me that the same thing they did to King and Lewis, beating them on Selma Bridge, they are coming back doing the same thing. And we are silenced. I believe while our Black people, our young men don't have the respect for the Black men like me and my age, we did not stand and fight till we died so that they would not be mistreated. And we still trying to do it the way they want us. And it's kind of like the slave trying to ask the master, will you free me? And they're not going to do it.
No, they're not. You're right. And Rodney took it back to the early 19th century, but I take it back further than that. I said these are slave laws.
That's exactly what they are.
They was before Reconstruction, we couldn't vote. You know, before slavery. Then, you know, they had all kinds of draconian laws that they put in place to stop us from voting.
And they used the police to enforce it.
They used the police. And you're right.
There's nothing in the Constitution that calls for a police.
Nothing.
Police came out of the night riders and the night to arrest slaves and poor white folks to take them back to the masters. That's what the
Doc,
police
you're in the pulpit now, Doc. You're in the pulpit now.
Hey, tell them.
Amen.
That's what
Amen.
they want to hear.
Amen.
Well, hey, what do you think about not being able to give your grandmother or if your grandfather or grandmother or someone with a disability water?
Now forgive me. Let me calm down and act like the pastor.
No, man, why?
Now let's talk. Let's talk on legislation. Let's take it to another level. Let's talk about the issues. But I think it's high time. What? No, I said I wasn't gonna go there.
No, go there.
Go there, Doc.
We go there, Pastor. Go there.
I was angry. We see them arrest our sister, black men, and we don't do nothing. We see them arrest our children, and we don't do nothing. I was saddened. I'm a non-violent type person, but I'm tired of this foolishness.
Amen.
Life ain't worth living if we got to keep living like this.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like the old folks say, I'd rather be dead sleeping in my grave. Keep putting up with this foolishness that we play by the rules. We win by the rules. As soon as we play by the rules and win by the rules, they go and change the rules so they can keep cheating to win.
Right.
And we think we making progress. They making sure that the senator from Georgia will not get re-elected 2 years from now.
Yeah.
They sure are.
That's what they're doing.
Now,
They don't want no black representing them.
right. Pastor, because there's two parts to what they're doing in Georgia. The first part of it is voter suppression. The second part of this
It's criminalization.
well, is really making it so that they can, if you know, when Trump was trying to get the people to change the vote for the election, what do you call those guys what do you call that guy that
the people that do
certification or whatever?
Voting, the board.
Because they got rid of him, the one that stood up to
Secretary
Trump.
of State.
The one that stood up to Trump, and now they got rid of. But what they're doing now is, so if the vote does not go their way, they're setting people up in places that they can overturn the vote. So I don't care if 1 million people go out there and vote.
That's exactly right.
The authority to overturn it.
Rest with them.
It will not matter. So there's twofold we have to fight on. Voter suppression and making sure that our votes count in the 22 and 24 election.
Yeah, they have decided they telling people every day that if we don't make these laws, we won't win for another 25, 30 years. They know that, which is true, because they haven't done anything but placated to the rich in this country. Gave over $3 trillion during Trump's time in office. Billion here, 25 billion here, 30 billion there, 100 billion somewhere else. Then in the tax break, they gave almost $2 trillion in that, in the tax break. So overall, over the 4 years he was in office, they gave almost $3 trillion to the rich and did nothing for the middle class and the poor. And so when the virus hit, it devastated those individuals that was in the middle class and the poor. And that's why it's so important that we have to be more determined to stop them than they are to stop us. And the thing about it, a way I see it, they have declared war. And it's a declaration of war on Black people, young white people, Hispanic, Asian people, and the democracy. They are trying to turn the country into a dictatorship right in front of our eyes, authoritarian form of government, apartheid type of government, where the minority ruled the majority until infinity, in other words. But they have made a terrible mistake, I believe, that if they think that people gonna sit back and take what they're dishing out, because I'm, for one, will never bow down to them, never, for what they are thinking about trying to do, because they've already unleashed on people calling them Karens and calls, coupon call and all of that, where racist white people can run up in your face to ask you for your passport, in other words, to all kinds of stuff that they are doing. He unleashed that in the 4 years. You think what you think they would do if they allow this country to become a if we allow this country to become a dictatorship?
And you're right, because I'm gonna let you come in, Bill, because if the part that I'm most concerned about is when it says state level officials, they're giving state level officials the third authority to usurp the powers of county election boards. It says once they get that power and they're able to use that power, we will not be able to vote again. Everybody realize that you won't be able to vote again, because no matter what, when you vote, they can overturn that vote. Everybody should realize that. So therefore, then we're going into what Jared said, then you have authoritarian government. It can happen in 2022. So what can we do? What can Biden do? What can the House do to change this?
Well,
anyone?
Well, from my vantage point, one, we got to force the Democrats to end this filibuster, pass HR 1 and pass the John Lewis Act, which is the under the John Lewis Act, it'd be going back to 1965 under the pre-clearance, where every state is under pre-clearance. They could not change a voting booth or anything else until it goes through the Justice Department. Another thing, we have to make sure that if we have to, boycott the whole country. Because when you're dealing with them, you're dealing with finance. Martin Luther King was right. It's two systems of political power. One is economic and one is political. And if we make a stand, those of us who are of goodwill, regardless of race, creed, or color, we can bring the country to its knees and make them bow before us before we bow before them. Martin Luther King was right. He said, a man hadn't found something he'll die for, he ain't fit to live. So the thing that we have to be willing to do is whatever it takes by any means necessary to make sure that this country don't turn on us, because that's what's going to happen.
It has turned on us, but I love the passion that Dr. Williams brings to the table. They call me militant, doctor, but my militant is not a bad militant. I have that same passion, especially when they are arresting our women and we sit back and do absolutely nothing. Now, what the author, I can't call his name right now, but he said, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. But what we can do right away, because it amazed me when DJT insulted Maxine, the whole 9 yards. It's nothing new. But what we can all do right away, and I strongly encourage everyone within the sound of my voice to do, is to text, T-E-X-T, text 797979. And that is the Black Voters Matters. It'll take you to them, and they will send you a link where we can actually donate. to help, because they are, Georgia is ground zero right now. And
Right.
with SB 202, y'all, it is a slap in humanity's face, especially ours. So what we can do right away is help. I've done it more than one time, and that's what is really, really needed right now, because we got some troops on the ground right now in Georgia that is, they know that we've been insulted and they're doing what needs to be done, but they need the support. And I strongly encourage everybody to text 797979, 3 sets of 79, and get hooked up with that Black Voters Matters and donate.
You know, one of the things that we have, you know, Georgia is the epicenter that we are looking at, but it's 42
Right.
other states,
253 laws.
including the state we live in here in Florida.
Mhm.
And that's why it's so significant that we find out what is being challenged, as far as like Delta Airline, Coca-Cola, and all of these
The
other
business
places,
that
all the
support them.
business that support these right-wing,
Mhm.
radical, racist, no good people that's trying to overturn our the just little gains that we have made in this country, and now they want to stop us from doing that. No, we have to fight back, and we have to fight with everything that we know.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Black Voters Matter. I'm glad you mentioned that, Bill,
Mhm.
because Black Voters Matters have turned in or submitted some lawsuits.
Yes.
They're fighting it right now. You know, they didn't wait. They
That's
had
right.
everything ready, and they're in the courts right now fighting it. And,
That's
and
right.
we're
Yeah, I
glad
wanted
about
to
that.
add that, now, in my opinion, I believe that this is going to take place in the Georgia Supreme Court, and they're going to throw this. They're going to throw it out, because there's no way that they can allow for whoever controlling the capital in a state to decide what the people are going to do. If they do that, is exactly what Jerry said. We're in a dictatorship. So, but I wouldn't put my hope on the Supreme Court.
No.
But they must do that, because if they don't, then they are betting. But this is what I don't know have anybody thought about. 42 other states are introducing these laws.
Absolutely.
Right.
253 laws.
But listen to this. How many of those are Democrat states? Democrat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's something.
I think, you know what I'm saying? If it ain't but 50 states in the union, and then Alaska and Hawaii and Puerto Rico, stuff like that, I think it's all together about 57.
Yeah, 50 states.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
50 states.
and then the territories and the
Yeah,
other.
the territory, they don't count as, they haven't counted Puerto Rico, not even Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, they fighting right now to get Washington, D.C. as a state, and Puerto Rico.
Right. Think about this. Why would these states that got Democrat?
Well, what you have to realize, they are House Republicans. Most of these states got Republican.
See, you are very smart. That's what I wanted you all to see.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, they got Republican.
Like in Michigan, you got a Michigan governor, but you got Republicans houses. You got Democrat governors in like Pennsylvania and different like that. But Republicans are in those state houses.
That's
Right.
exactly why Georgia just passed the legislation. The legislation in Georgia is all
But
right.
see, like you say though, Doc, is they have Democrat governors which they're gonna veto those where the governors, the Democrat governors at. But Georgia, by it being a Republican all the way through, became the epicenter for this kind of draconian crap that they are doing there in Georgia, as far as trying to suppress, not only suppressing the vote, but to turn back time.
Well, you all, we can talk about this because there's still a lot of issues. By the time we talk about again next Sunday or Sunday after next, is going to be something totally different. So keep your eyes open, panel and hosts. Come back with information so that we can tell the people what to do and how to handle these situations. It's now time. It's our Voices People meter. We have shout outs. I'm going to start with Bill. Would you like to do your shout out, Bill?
Yeah, I want to shout out Shirley Baker, Alan Young, Lois Bless Pruitt, and Jerry Potter that's up there in Georgia. Naturally, I like to shout out the panel, but this is the time where everybody listening. And now that we're on WBQP, if you would love to support us, we need you. If you would send us a check or money order, make it out to the McIntosh Principle. Send it to P.O. Box 1024, Cantonment, Florida. P.O. Box 1024, Cantonment, Florida, 32533. Thank you so very much. Alan Young and Latita Seekfield, very strong supporters of this show financially. And I want to give them two a big shout out that called me up on this week and got some things to me.
Oh, great, great. Rodney, shout outs.
Yeah, first I'd like to shout out to all the panelists. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Mack, you know, I can't say enough about you guys. Dr. Snow, my man, and Dr. Williams, I appreciate you guys just for allowing me into y'all circle. But last but not least, my queen, I send her a shout out for tonight and thank her for allowing me this opportunity to be with you guys.
I love it. All right, and we're gonna have Pastor Williams.
Thank you so much, Ms. McIntosh and Jerry. My shout out goes to the panelists as well. But Rodney, you said thank us for letting you into our circle. No, I thank you all for letting me into y'all circle. Yeah. Hey, man, y'all probably gonna kick me out of here before long.
No, never.
No, we're giving you a raise.
Just about everywhere I go, hey, I don't know. I love this. Thank you, Jerry, for being my friends as McIntosh and Rodney and Snow. Shout out to this program. I trust that people hear our passion, and I'm one that I don't believe in just talking. I'm part of Faith in Florida, and we're gonna register as many people we can vote. We're gonna fight them on many fronts.
Yes.
I like what Bro Snow said. Let's fight. Oh, I'm finna preach again. Shout out. Shout out to my darling. She been riding shotgun with me for about 46 years now.
Wow.
That's been a minute.
Wow. That's a minute.
I'm done.
No, well, that's good. I want to say something. You know, Community Conversation is next Sunday, and we have a special person on next Sunday. Her name is Anita Jones, and she's an author. The title of the book is From Poverty to Principle. That's principal like a school principal. From Poverty to Principle. And she's going to talk about her life story and why she wrote that book and how it has impacted the community. And I want to say that this particular person is Pastor Williams' sister. And that tells me that there are, in that family, there are people and there are individuals that care about this community, that care about the old, the young, whomever. And we appreciate everything that your family does, Dr. Williams. And we knew you were an awesome person. But
thank you, man.
Now we know your extended family is the same way. So
they're better than me. They're better than me. You all gonna love her. She is a phenomenal personality. She's bigger than life. I promise you, when you meet her.
Can you tell us a little bit about her, Pastor?
She is an awesome personality. She has I got two beautiful nephews and niece from her. Her youngest daughter is an attorney. Just passed the law out of the bar out in California. Youngest, that's Jada, beautiful. She's gonna do great things. Marcus, he's a lover of animals. Anything you want to know about an animal, he can tell you about it.
Wow.
He can tell you the history of any animal, how they mate, whatever. You engage him, he will be the professor. Her husband, Cleet, he used to play football for the Patriots, which I hate him.
Ooh.
But he is a phenomenal, and he's a retired police officer. If you ever meet him, he's a unique police officer.
Yeah.
He is one of I said this to him, and I leave you alone. I said, I don't normally say there's another man that's better than me, but he is. That's my brother-in-law. So you can tell the whole family, and her and Anita, she was Miss America. She won the beauty contest.
You're kidding. Fantastic.
Wait till you see her picture on the book when y'all see her next week.
I have it already. So
Sorry, you see it, right? Can you show it? Can you show them the book?
it's going to be on the flyer. I don't have it a picture.
Flyer. But she is the nicest, kind-hearted. She goes into the community and work with the little kids and buy clothes for them and get them ready to go from a little boy to a man. She's a phenomenal person. As a principal, she used to do all of that.
Yes. So we can't wait to please listen to Community Conversations and meet this wonderful person. But I have something else special to tell you, that our one and only Jerry McIntosh is one of the 100 most influential people in Pensacola, according to one of our magazines, In Weekly, here in Pensacola.
Awesome.
So we want to give a shout out to Jerry McIntosh.
That's what's up.
Congratulations, as one of the most 100 influential people.
I said one of the most 10.
So I want to say that. Jerry?
Just want to shout out Felicia Whitfield in Chicago, Jane Whitfield in Chicago. Felicia, I hope you're doing great. Also, Patricia Tony, Dunmore in Chicago, Aura Lacey in Arkansas, and everybody else, Cliff Stokes and Mrs. Stokes, who is ardent supporters, not only by watching, but financially. We want to thank them from the bottom of our heart. We love them to death. Miss Lola Presley, just everybody. Oh, Brother Henry Hawkins, who didn't come on tonight with us. Hope you are doing great, brother. I should have called you because we sent you the thing, so I guess you was chilling this evening. But Shirley Baker, Ms. White, I want to thank her for watching tonight. What's her first name? Marjorie White. I want to thank her for listening, and especially Lois Diane Pruitt, who is a ardent watcher and supporter of our show, both financially and in every other way. And to everybody that watched tonight, whether you're watching on WBQP TV, YouTube, the website, Facebook, Vernon Watson Facebook, WBQTV.com, along with other entities that we are expanding to. So we love you, and we want to thank God for you. So stay tuned.
Okay, so next week, along with the author, we're going to talk about 9 ways people were kept from voting.
Yeah.
There were 9 ways, and if you can think of something else, once we tell you the 9 ways, if there's another way that you know of, please let us know. Our host will have a host of information for you, and we're also going to talk about the segregation of Jim Crow, that was a part of it, and the civil rights portion of Jim Crow. So it should be interesting on Community Conversations next Sunday at 7 o'clock. Yes.
I need to make, I said Miss America, and she was Miss Titusville. She won Miss Titusville. I think I said Miss America.
Yeah, sure, yeah, because your mind was thinking way up there. That's good. That's always good. She probably liked that Miss America part of it. And I know that Bill Snow, there was someone that you have recommended. Before we go, can you call out that person's name? And
Yes.
we're going to have them on the next community conversations.
Thanks for that opportunity. His name is Marcus Cunningham, but Terry Full, I wanted to shout her out as well. But Marcus Cunningham is a young author, preacher, dynamic person. Yes, ma'am.
What is this book about?
It's I haven't gotten it yet, but it's inspirational. It's more of a testimony of who he
Okay.
was and to where where he is now. Homelessness, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, yes, we want to hear that. We want to hear the story. There's always a story. Everyone has a story.
Yes.
Everyone. All right, you all, it's time to go until next Sunday at 7:00 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. You'll see Community Conversations next Sunday, and the following Sunday is Our Voices of People's Media. If you have anything that you would like us to talk about, please send that information to Macintosh 7756@cox.net or contact any one of our hosts and let them know that there's a topic that you would really like to discuss.
Oh, nice.
If anyone else have something to say, was that a call that one?
Yeah, said Diane's birthday is today.
Diane.
Diane.
Oh, happy birthday!
Birthday, Diane.
Happy birthday to Diane, because she, at 7:00, she's there. She's always the first one. So our voice, we've got to see.
Yeah.
Are y'all ready? Host,
Happy birthday!
let me put it, wait. She's got to see all of us. She's got to see us all.
Yeah,
All right. Rodney?
Rodney already gone.
Okay. All right, well, that's all we can do it.
Yeah.
Ready? Just one stanza.
Yeah.
Happy birthday
Birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
birthday,
birthday, Diane.
Happy
Happy birthday to you. Hey, we won't be on any kind of singing, that's for sure. But it's a thought that counts. We love you. We appreciate you. We hope you had a wonderful birthday. With that, y'all, we're going to say good night.
Good night, everybody.
Right.